Hello and welcome to another video from Creative Light. I thought I would do something a little bit different today, and unfortunately you've got my face on the screen this time, but I promise not for too much longer. Now, a little something to do when it's cold outside and you want a little indoor project that you can have a bit of fun with. How about turning your digital DSLR or your mirrorless camera into a pinhole camera? A little bit of old tech meets new tech. Now, for this you're going to need a few things. Some tape, a body cap. I recommend going on Amazon or eBay and buying some of the cheap ones for whatever your brand of camera is. Then you're going to need a couple of technical things. One of them is some strong silver foil, aluminium foil. The cheaper thin stuff doesn't do a very good job. You need the slightly thicker stuff. You're then going to need a drill. Obviously, use safely. Now, quick little montage of what to do. Right, so first things first, you're going to want your lens cap. Now, really and truly want to put a hole as close to the centre as possible. Now, there's quite a few ways of doing this. You can put a ruler across and mark it, or if you get a piece of paper, draw it round, cut it into a circle, into a square, and then fold it into four. You can line it up, and here we go. Put it on the edge, and that will mark you very, very close to the absolute centre. I don't know if you can see, very little mark just made there. Right, now what we've got to do is get the drill out and put a hole in it. Now, I personally recommend somewhere between an 8 to a 10 mil drill bit. I'm using a wood drill. These are ideal for drilling into plastic because you want a fairly high speed. You don't want to apply too much pressure, and it has the center point already, so it's not likely to skip around too much. So obviously, safety first. There you go. Now don't worry, I didn't actually drill through the palm of my hand. I actually placed it onto a small piece of wood and drilled onto the top. I used a fairly high speed and very little pressure. You don't need very much to cut through these at all. And then if you look closely, you can see I've actually tidied it up with a very small sharp knife inside and out, and made sure there's no little bits and pieces that are going to fall off into the camera. Right, so this is your first stage. Now obviously that's a little bit of a big pinhole, isn't it? Yes, so now we need to make it much, much smaller. And this is how we do it. So, to make the pinhole, the best way that I found to do it is use a little bit of masking tape, cut a hole in it. You need this so you have a nice clean edge to your actual pinhole. And then I stick a piece of silver foil, again, the heavy foil because it works much better, on the inside of it. Now the shiny side should go this side, so as there isn't too much reflection coming from the back of the... Oops, let's see if I can get it in focus for you. AF tracking lock wants to keep it out of focus. There we go. Right, so the shiny side is on the facing away from the sensor so as you don't get any reflections back from it. And then what you're going to do is you're going to attach this to your cap. And you're going to get as close as you can to the center, like so. There we go. You'll know if you got it right because you can look on the back and you'll only see silver foil, you won't see any tape. There we go. So we attach that nice and securely. Right, now we need to make our pinhole. Okay, to get this hole as clean as possible, you need to get something on the back of the foil. Now I'm going to use this piece of blue tack which is sitting on the table. I'm going to place the cap with the hole over the top, just touching it. Now, as you see, I'm using my little marker again so as I can get the center as close as I can. And it's literally just a matter of a tiny little hole like that. There we go. And there's our pinhole. Now we can go and try it. So now we have your pinhole made and attached to your camera. Now is the time to start taking some photographs with it. One thing I will say though is the hole needs to be very small. The size you can see there at the moment is probably about the largest you want to go to. So very small, very careful use on the pin. Now, one of the things you can also do is you can actually get very, very fine pins to be more controlled on the size of the hole. Right, I suppose the thing we need to do now is actually take some photographs with it, isn't it? Oh, this is a very odd little setup, but it's just to give you a very quick and short idea. Let's say not exactly a Getty image standard, but for this one with natural light at ISO 800, we're looking at a 15-second exposure. Basically, you're doing a lot of experimentation with different shutter speeds, and a tripod is highly recommended. Of course, the other interesting thing is this. I'm using live view here because you can actually get some kind of an idea of what your image is. Through the main viewfinder, you're not going to be able to see anything. So if you're with a mirrorless, yeah, you're going to be okay. But as you can see, you need a lot of light to be able to see anything, hence some very, very long exposures. Now this can actually be quite beneficial for doing streams and water and outside near the sun. I did a quick little calculation on this one, and effectively it is a 30mm lens at f260 something. Now, if you carefully add some extra holes, then you can wind up creating some images like these.